Mic test. Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Just wanted to test. Okay, so we got 1 minute. Just want to make sure you guys can see my screen. It should say radio show process.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, guys. Okay, so I got 8:45, so we'll get started. All right, so I'm going to be talking about the radio show process today. The first thing I wanted to ask you guys before we jump into the actual process, wanted to get you guys idea on. There's many reasons why we do a radio show, and there's a lot of advantages to it. But anyone have any ideas? You know, why start with why do we do the radio show? Anybody?
Branding.
Who's that? Oh, branding. Okay. Who was that? Was said I can't. Somebody in the
David.
room. Okay. Okay. Thanks, David. All right, branding. Okay, good. Anybody else?
It's layered marketing and community engagement as well, right, Robin?
Okay. Yep. And I think those two we can sort of put in the same group. So what we'll cover today. Why do we do the radio show? I think there's a lot of advantages, and there's a lot of reasons why we do it. But to simplify, I think there's two categories we can put under why we do the show. One is first of all, sorry, this is my outline. Here's what we'll cover today. Why do we do the radio show? A little bit about the radio show, and then we'll jump into the process. So we'll start with why do we do the radio show? I think the first category under that is which is, you guys mentioned, is to build our brand, right? And under that, one of the things that we do under building a brand is, of course, it's a way of marketing our show. We do the show so that we can get information out to our clients, right? So Team Lally does marketing in a number of different ways online. We do radio marketing. We also do some TV advertising. We do a lot of traditional advertising. We do online advertising. But through Ray, we're also able to tap a number of different, celebrity endorsers who help to support, the Team Lally name. So another reason why we do the radio show, of course, is to build relationships. So as you guys well know, a part of the show, we always invite a featured guest to come on the show, and it's a win-win when we do that, because they get a platform to promote their business or their organization if they have an event, if they have a special message that they want to bring out. And we, in return, are able to provide our listeners with a steady stream of content. So by providing them that content every week, Adrian and Antilio hope to, we hope to both educate and entertain at the same time.
Hey, Robin.
Uh-huh.
Just real quick, because we have some of our partner agents on the line, and speaking of content and education, let's also tie it into how does it help our referral partners on the neighbor islands.
Yes.
We can set up maybe once a month we call in with a neighbor island update, what's going over on Kauai, what's going over on Big Island, because the show it gets syndicated to the entire state, and a lot of people will buy a second home on a neighbor island, or vice versa.
Absolutely, yes, and that's right, and that partnership we have with our partner agents. We have partnerships with our vendors, different. So we hope to build different relationships by doing the show. And the first kind of relationship, of course, is with a radio show guest. But at the same time, as Adrian mentions, it allows us to reach out with other partners, other personalities, and one of the other thing we do is with our preferred vendors. As part of our preferred vendor program, we have our vendors on the show. As a featured guest, a minimum of about once a year, and many who have the time, they call as you guys know, they call in to provide a tip of the week. Duke and Jody consistently do that tip of the week every week, and then a lot of our other preferred vendors, they alternate and they call in every week. Another relationship is with our existing clients. We market the coming soon and the newly listed properties. We also market the open house properties on the show every week. So that's one thing that we can present to whether it's our existing clients or past clients. We hope to build those kinds of relationships. But with our existing clients, that's what we can offer, is the fact that we help market their properties on the show. And then lastly, we also build relationships with our potential clients. All our listeners are technically potential clients or leads, and a good percentage of the leads who call our office, our hotline, whether it's our buyer hotline or seller hotline. A lot of them are those who have either listened to the Team Lally radio show or have heard about us on one of our other radio ads in one of the other radio shows or stations. Okay, so I'll be going through a lot of information, and then you guys can always ask questions in between, and then we'll wrap it up at the end.
Does anyone have any questions so far on what Robin has shared, or comments or ideas?
Nothing right now.
How much viewers do we have on this radio show?
That I don't have the stats with me. I do have. Let me see here if I can open up my. I have that in email, but maybe I can email you guys that after. I have a email where we have a lot of the stats, but let me, because it also depends on the station. Well, just as an example, KHVH AM 830, they have a average audience of 147,000 listeners every month. And that's just for 147,000 listeners. That's just for that one station. But we're on different stations.
Oh, that's just for the stations themselves have that many, so we're getting it from that many people.
It's our.
Yeah, because I have an email because we also but I'll go through that the other ways that we well, we'll jump into the next section is a little bit about the show. So but I'll email you that marketing email that I send out with some of the stats that I had compiled. So we record rather the show every week. Typical schedule is Wednesdays 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. But we've been known to either shift that schedule or add to that schedule. In fact, while Attilio's gone. In fact, next week we're looking to have to record 3 shows. So other than the Wednesday regular Wednesday 11 a.m. schedule, we'll have one on Thursday. We'll record one on Thursday, and we'll record another one on Wednesday. So, but typically we'll record one a week, and then we'll air it that same coming week. So this is the typical airing schedule. So it airs on these stations at different times. So I won't, go through all of these, but you can see here, we're on, what is this, 5 different stations, and some of them air more than one time. So we air Saturdays, Sundays, and then one station currently airs on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And that's AM 690 KHNR. Okay, so we'll jump into the radio show process now. Okay, so the process starts when we call and invite the guest to the show, and normally either Adrian Attilio or somebody else from the team, or sometimes even from outside the team, will get sort of recommendations or referrals for potential guests, and so these all go into a list that I compile and and try to schedule them and invite them on the show. So it involves a lot of calling, following up, and then booking them to the show. And this is just to show you the typical script. I didn't like link the file anymore, so because I wanted to go pretty quickly. I could, but if you guys wanted to see that the actual file, I can send that to you guys. So this is typically the script that we use. to call. Just basically, this is Robin from Lally. I'm contacting you on behalf of Adrian and Tilio. We host a weekly radio show on the current state and trends of real estate in Hawaii. And we told them that we're currently looking for guests to be on for an upcoming show. And then usually I'll mention like the upcoming month, or if I have a actual date that I have in mind for them. But typically I don't mention a date yet, because I typically don't want to mention a date to everybody, because if you give them a date and then they don't get back to you in weeks, you can't commit that date to a few people. So normally I'll just I won't mention an actual date unless I actually talk to them and they have their schedule in front of them. And just tell them the show is primarily about real estate, but we also talk about different topics, local businesses, organizations, and anything about the community. So it's a short script. Just basically want to find out when they're available, and then usually I'll have an email that I'll send them that has more details about the radio show. Okay, so once we book, prospect agrees to be on the show, I send them the confirmation email. This is a BombBomb, just to show you what the BombBomb email looks like. So we send this out to them, which more or less tells them when they're going to be on, and then we also have a form that we have them fill out. And this is so that we can gather more information about them, because a lot of the guests, information about our guests, usually I'll just get contact information most of the time. Like sometimes I'll just get a business card. Adrian or Tilio will send me a picture of the business card if it's somebody maybe they just met through networking or an event. And then I just go ahead and try to contact them. So most of the time I don't know a lot about them. Sometimes I'll need to research more about them if some of them actually don't go and complete the form, even if you follow up. So a lot of times I'm going to have to go online and research as much as I can about them, so that we have something to use prior to the show to introduce them, so that we have a profile about them. And then after that form, this is just all the details about the show, when we're going to record, where the show is going to record, make a little map and everything. And just a little bit about what we'll ask them about on the show and what they can expect. We also include some links to the show, to past shows, so they can click on our Team Lally page, as well as our iTunes page, so they can listen to the past shows. Okay, so moving on. So this is what they're going to see when they click on that link, and then just a simple Google form they can fill out. It's a couple of pages, so basically so that we can have as much information as we have about them. And when they fill that out, we're able to create sort of like this sheet. It goes into this form, which we can then use. If they fill this out, then I can send this to Adrian and Tilio. A lot of times, some of them don't. So a lot of if that happens, like I said, I'll just have to research as much as I can this information and then send it to them. Okay, and then after that process, with that information that I have, I'll usually create a document that I call the radio show guest intro. And this includes, sort of a short script before we introduce them on the show. This is the script that we use. And also, I'll usually also include any announcement we have, like an upcoming event that we have. We'll usually include it in that short script. Okay, and then next thing we do is we send an email reminder to the guest usually, typically about a couple of days, the week of, a couple of days prior to the show, and this is that canned email that we send. And then the day before the show, we'll usually send an email reminder to the vendors and any agents who are assigned to call in. Used to be this format has changed. Used to be we used to ask several agents to call in, but in the interest of time, right? Currently, Howard is the one who calls in and talks about the open houses and coming soon listings. But it's changed in the past. Whoever usually there was a time when we'd have at least one listing agent and one buyer agent calling in, but that's evolved through the years. We usually also ask the vendors to call in with a weekly tip. So on the day of the show, we'll next part of the process, we usually want to print out the radio show script, and this is right now. This is Jenny who's doing all this, printing out the script, printing out if there's a radio show intro or responses, and then we have the welcome bag ready for the in-studio guest that day, just the in-studio guest. Okay, and then after the show, they'll usually send me a photo of the guest in the studio, and this photo, usually the photo we use for our marketing. We usually create a radio show ad for social media, and it's usually something like this. We'll just play a short. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but just so typically this is what the radio ad will look like and sound like. But I'm not going to play the whole thing. Okay. So, and then we post this on our social media. This helps promote the show prior to it airing.
Hey, Robin.
Uh-huh.
Do we, when we post that on social media, like on Facebook, do we create any kind of like campaign ads for it to run?
Like an actual with a budget, you mean?
Yeah.
Currently, we don't put a budget on this particular ad. I don't know, that may change in the future, but right now we don't. Usually, some of our other events will usually have a budget, but for the radio show, that particular ad, we normally don't put a budget to it. But maybe that could be something that we could think about, and but for that particular ad, we don't. Not at this time. All right, good question. And then after the show, again, another thing we do is we request for viral to post the episode on iTunes and on our video blog. So this is just a screenshot of that email that we sent out to them. So we posted on iTunes. It's also posted. We also post it on, other than iTunes, we also post it on iHeartMedia. And also on the Team Lally blog. So it gets posted on our Team Lally blog. And a lot of these links, the social media that we post, we send these links to our guest. We'll usually send them a thank you email to the guest with, some links that they can use. So we'll send them a link to the blog, to the iTunes, so they can either subscribe and look for the show and listen to it. We also send them a link to our business directory. So if they're a business, they can, add their business information to our directory on our site. And also we'll give them a copy of the audio so that they can use it, in their marketing. We asked them to also post it on their marketing or social media. And that is the end. So let's just get a couple of reactions. So anyone have any aha or anything they learned or any questions for that matter? And,
I'll go, Raman.
Okay.
I like that you
Aloha, this is Sharon from Maui. And I'm just amazed at how much advertising Team Lally spends and the amount of people that tune in. That's great.
awesome. Okay. Thanks, Sharon.
So we were just discussing something. So is there, we know that it's like a recorded audio, you know, it just gets played at certain times. But then Laura mentioned that, like, you know, we were talking about possibly having like a live way to do it. But then Laura did say that there was a time where somebody was actually able to talk about it.
Yeah, Robin, I could be wrong, but wasn't there a time where I remember a guy calling in, maybe asking Duke about pets or something? Does that ring a bell? But we recorded the show. So how would that have happened? Or maybe I'm making that up in my head.
Well, there was a time when we were doing it live. So it's possible that maybe you heard a recording where, when we were still doing it live. But at some point, we started recording it earlier in the week, and then airing it like that following weekend. So that's probably the case, or I'm not sure, I haven't heard a recording. I usually listen to a lot of the recordings. I haven't heard one where I heard a call-in guest, like an actual listener calling in and asking Duke. Or maybe it's sometimes we'll have more than one person call in, so that that's possible. But currently we don't do it live. But we other than the audio that we post, there is a way for them to listen to the shows either on the stations itself or through the iHeart app. They can listen online.
So is there, I just a question, is there, never mind. I'm seeing faces and I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Never mind, thanks Robin, you're great.
All right, but you guys can email me questions if you have, if you have questions out
Thank you,
there.
Robin.
All right.
Have a great one. Bye bye.
All right. Went over time. Thanks, guys. Okay, bye-bye.